In the heart of the countryside, an ancient and abandoned manor stood, its crumbling walls whispering tales of a sinister past. As Halloween approached, a group of adventurous friends, Emma, John, Sarah, and Michael, decided to explore the haunted estate, drawn to the mystery that shrouded it. On a moonlit night, they gathered at the entrance of the manor. The wind sighed through the overgrown foliage, and the rustling leaves seemed to beckon them forward. The old iron gate creaked open, and they stepped into the foreboding darkness. A sense of trepidation settled over the group as they crossed the threshold. The air inside the manor was heavy with the weight of history, and their footsteps echoed through the dilapidated halls. The scent of mildew mixed with the lingering aroma of long-extinguished candles. As they ventured deeper into the manor, the shadows seemed to dance, twisting and contorting as if they were alive. Unearthly moans and faint whispers teased their ears, making them question their decision to enter this eerie place. Emma, the most curious of the group, led the way. Her flashlight cast a feeble beam that fought against the encroaching darkness. The friends stumbled upon an old painting of a forlorn woman with hollow eyes, an ancestral specter watching them from the canvas. The night wore on, and the atmosphere grew more ominous. Sarah felt a cold, ghostly hand brush against her shoulder, while John saw fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures darting in and out of the corners of his vision. Their fear escalated when they reached the grand ballroom. The dust-covered chandelier swayed gently as if moved by an unseen hand, and the mirrors lining the walls reflected ghostly apparitions that weren't there. With every step, the manor seemed to twist and turn, creating an ever-changing maze of haunted corridors. Panic threatened to consume them as they struggled to find their way back to the entrance. Amidst the confusion, Emma discovered a hidden passage, and the group followed her into a room filled with old journals and artifacts. Among the ancient tomes, they found a worn journal that spoke of a malevolent spirit bound to the manor by a curse. The journal revealed the tragic tale of Lady Evelyn, who had once lived in the manor. She was accused of witchcraft and met a gruesome end, cursing the manor with her dying breath. Determined to break the curse and escape the clutches of the malevolent entity, the group decided to confront the spirit. They gathered in a circle and began to read an incantation meant to release Lady Evelyn from her torment. The room filled with an otherworldly energy, and a spectral figure emerged, a woman in chains, her eyes filled with sorrow. She reached out to them, her ethereal form flickering like a dying flame. As Emma and her friends listened to Lady Evelyn's tragic tale, they felt a wave of empathy wash over them. They realized that the curse could only be broken by offering solace to the tormented soul. With tears in their eyes, they spoke words of understanding and forgiveness. They acknowledged the injustice she had endured and offered her the peace she had long been denied. In that moment, Lady Evelyn's form began to fade, and the oppressive atmosphere in the manor lifted. A soft, ethereal light enveloped them, carrying away the malevolence that had plagued the old estate for centuries. As dawn approached, the group emerged from the manor, forever changed by the haunting they had endured. They had confronted darkness and brought peace to a tormented soul, a bittersweet ending that left them with a profound sense of humility and awe. The manor, now freed from the curse, stood as a testament to the power of empathy and compassion. The friends knew that they had experienced something beyond the realm of the living that night, and they would forever cherish the bond forged in the face of fear and the healing they had brought to the haunted corridors. A chilling wind swept through the small town of Ravenbrook as Halloween approached. Amidst the autumn fog, a mysterious carnival arrived at the outskirts. The townspeople marveled at the sight of its towering rides, extravagant tents, and enchanting lights. But they couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Among the carnival's attractions was a tent adorned with an ominous sign: Madame Leota, the fortune-teller. The fortune-teller, a mysterious and cloaked figure, captivated the crowd with her unsettling predictions. She claimed to see the specters of death looming around people, and her words sent shivers down their spines. Eager to debunk the carnival's mysteries, Alex, a young journalist with a penchant for the supernatural, decided to investigate the origins of Madame Leota. His research led him to a dusty archive filled with old newspapers and forgotten tales. As he delved into the history of the carnival, he stumbled upon an article that mentioned a reclusive fortune teller, Madame Esmeralda, who had once lived on the outskirts of Ravenbrook. Rumors suggested that Madame Esmeralda had possessed genuine psychic abilities and was a mentor to Madame Leota. Determined to find answers, Alex embarked on a quest to locate Madame Esmeralda. His journey took him through fog-covered forests and forgotten paths, leading him deeper into the heart of the unknown. The townspeople warned him to stay away from the reclusive woman, but he was undeterred. After days of tireless searching, Alex finally stumbled upon a small cabin hidden among the trees. The cabin's eerie appearance matched the unsettling aura that surrounded it. Hesitant but resolute, he knocked on the door, and it creaked open with a haunting groan. Inside, Alex was greeted by an old woman with piercing blue eyes that seemed to look right through him. She introduced herself as Madame Esmeralda, the very fortune teller whose path had crossed with Madame Leota's in the distant past. Alex explained his purpose, and Madame Esmeralda's eyes twinkled with a mix of amusement and skepticism. She recognized his genuine curiosity and agreed to share her own tale, the tale of the Sinister Carnival and its malevolent secrets. Madame Esmeralda's story unraveled the origins of Madame Leota's gift and the darkness that had consumed the carnival. She revealed that Madame Leota had been her protégée, eager to learn the secrets of the supernatural world. As their mentor-student bond deepened, Madame Esmeralda discovered a hidden darkness within Madame Leota, a thirst for power and dominance over the supernatural forces. In a desperate bid to acquire more knowledge, Madame Leota turned to dark rituals and forbidden practices. Her greed for knowledge led her to a cursed grimoire that contained ancient and malevolent incantations. It was from these dark rituals that Madame Leota's ability to see the specters of death emerged, but at a cost, the cost of her humanity. Madame Esmeralda had tried to guide her protégée back to the path of light, but Madame Leota's thirst for power had consumed her. In a tragic twist of fate, Madame Leota had unleashed malevolent spirits that had cursed the carnival, binding its performers to an eternal cycle of malevolence. Listening to Madame Esmeralda's tale, Alex realized the gravity of the situation. He knew that he had to confront Madame Leota and break the curse that held the carnival in its grip. Armed with the knowledge Madame Esmeralda had bestowed upon him, Alex returned to the carnival with a heavy heart. He knew that confronting Madame Leota would not be easy, but he couldn't let the malevolence continue. As Halloween night approached, the carnival's enchanting facade began to crumble. Its vibrant colors transformed into eerie shades, and the joyous laughter gave way to haunting echoes. Sinister clowns roamed the streets, and the once celebratory music turned into a chilling melody that seemed to possess the very soul. The malevolent spirits of the carnival sought to consume Alex's spirit, taunting him with whispers of doubt and despair. But he drew strength from Madame Esmeralda's teachings and his own sense of justice. In a climactic confrontation, Alex finally faced Madame Leota, who had become a vessel for the malevolent spirits. Her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and her voice echoed with the malice of the cursed grimoire. With a resolute heart, Alex recited the incantation he had learned from Madame Esmeralda. He called upon the forces of light and compassion, channeling the very essence of humanity's goodness. As he spoke, a blinding light enveloped the carnival grounds. The malevolent spirits shrieked in anguish, their dark presence fading into the depths of the unknown. In the midst of the chaos, Madame Leota's sinister facade crumbled. Her eyes lost their malevolence and she collapsed to the ground, the curse that had consumed her breaking its hold. But just as Alex thought the battle was won, the carnival itself seemed to come alive. The rides twisted and contorted, the tents shook violently, and the malevolent spirits rallied for one last stand. In a harrowing struggle, Alex fought against the spirits' onslaught. Each step felt like wading through a storm of nightmares, and the air crackled with dark energy. But he didn't waver. Drawing on every ounce of courage, he persisted, countering the malevolence with an unyielding will to protect those innocent souls. With each incantation, he felt the spirits weaken, the carnival's malevolence diminished, and the blinding light of hope and redemption surged forward. And then, in a crescendo of ethereal energy, the malevolent spirits were banished, disappearing into the darkness from which they came. The carnival grounds fell eerily silent. The once lively attractions now stood still, as if in a state of suspended animation. The malevolence had been quelled, but the price had been high. As Alex caught his breath, he saw Madame Leota lying still on the ground, her cloak tattered and her eyes closed. He approached her cautiously, hoping she had not been lost entirely to the darkness. With a gentle touch, he roused her from her unconscious state. To his surprise, Madame Leota's eyes fluttered open, but they no longer held the malevolence he had seen before. The ordeal had purged the darkness from her soul, leaving her vulnerable and remorseful. Madame Leota's voice quivered as she expressed remorse for her actions, for the havoc she had wrought upon the carnival and its performers. She had been consumed by the allure of power, and in her quest for knowledge, she had lost sight of her own humanity. Now, with the curse broken, she was left to grapple with the consequences of her actions. But Alex saw something else in her eyes, a glimmer of hope, a chance at redemption. He reached out to her, offering a hand of understanding and forgiveness. In that moment, a powerful bond formed between the two. Alex had not only broken the curse of the Sinister Carnival, but also helped Madame Leota find a path back to the light, and as the sun began to rise on the horizon, its warm rays painting the sky with hues of gold and orange, the Sinister Carnival transformed once more. The ride stood tall and colorful, the tents exuded an air of enchantment, and the haunting echoes were replaced by joyous laughter. The townspeople, once wary and fearful, now embraced the carnival with open arms. They knew that the darkness had been vanquished, and the carnival had been reborn, a place where wonders and enchantments awaited those who dared to step inside. As for Alex, he had become more than just a journalist. He had become a savior, a beacon of light in the face of darkness. His bravery and compassion had not only saved the carnival, but also offered a chance of redemption to those who had been lost to the shadows. And as he bid farewell to the newly rejuvenated carnival, he knew that the lessons he had learned would stay with him forever, the significance of compassion, the power of forgiveness, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. As Halloween night faded into memory, the legend of the Sinister Carnival lived on, not as a tale of terror, but as a testament to the indomitable power of hope and the triumph of the human heart over the darkest of shadows. In the remote village of Blackwood, Halloween was not just a night of costumes and candy. It was a night when the veil between the living and the dead thinned, and malevolent forces roamed freely. The villagers believed in an ancient legend, the tale of the witching hour. As the clock struck midnight on Halloween, the village became cloaked in an eerie silence. Strange symbols appeared on the doorways, and flickering candles lined the streets, their dim light warding off the approaching malevolence. At the heart of the village stood a creaky old mansion, said to be cursed by the spirit of a vengeful witch. It was whispered that on the night of Halloween, the witch would return to seek revenge on the villagers for a past injustice. Megan, a brave and curious young woman, had always been drawn to the supernatural. Despite the warnings, she couldn't resist the temptation to uncover the truth behind the legend. Armed with her grandmother's grimoire, she embarked on a quest to unravel the mysteries of the witching hour. As the clock struck midnight, Megan found herself in the mansion's decrepit parlor. The air grew heavy with a malevolent presence, and her heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. She lit candles, drawing protective sigils around her. Unbeknownst to Megan, a malevolent spirit, the vengeful witch, was indeed awakened. It was the spirit of Agatha, who had been falsely accused of witchcraft and executed by the villagers centuries ago. Agatha's tormented spirit was bound to the mansion, her soul trapped in a cycle of anger and pain. When she sensed Megan's presence, she grew furious, blaming the young woman for awakening her from her eternal slumber. Megan sensed the presence of the malevolent spirit and began to recite incantations from her grandmother's grimoire. She hoped to communicate with the spirit and offer her peace, but Agatha's rage prevented her from listening. As the night wore on, The mansion became a battleground between Megan's determination and Agatha's malevolence. The walls seemed to groan with the weight of the spirit's emotions, and the air crackled with energy. With each failed attempt to reach Agatha, Megan began to doubt her abilities. The malevolent spirit taunted her, playing on her deepest fears and insecurities. Yet Megan refused to back down. In a climactic confrontation, Megan finally managed to break through Agatha's rage. She spoke words of understanding and empathy, acknowledging the injustice the vengeful witch had endured. As Megan's words reached Agatha, a moment of stillness enveloped the mansion. Agatha's vengeful spirit began to fade, and her ethereal form transformed into a serene and peaceful figure. In that moment, Megan realized that Agatha was not seeking revenge. She was seeking peace. Her malevolence had been born out of her suffering, and Megan's empathy had finally granted her the release she sought. As dawn approached, the village of Blackwood awakened to find Megan standing outside the old mansion. The malevolent presence had vanished, and the legend of the witching hour was forever changed. For Megan, the experience had been a profound lesson in the power of empathy and understanding. She had confronted a malevolent spirit and found the humanity behind the haunting. The legend of the witching hour was no longer a tale of terror, but a reminder of the importance of compassion and the healing power of forgiveness. As the villagers celebrated Halloween the following year, they did so with a newfound appreciation for the stories that defined their traditions. They knew that the supernatural world was not just about scares and thrills, but a realm that held lessons about the human experience, lessons that Megan had learned and shared with her village. And so the legend of the witching hour lived on, not as a harbinger of fear, but as a reminder that understanding and compassion could transcend even the darkest of shadows.